What's indeed going on, Jerome's? It's a beautiful Friday. Sun is shining, birds are chirping and stuff, and your Vikings are looking to get above 500 for the first time this season. And yeah, it really sucks. The injury to Kirkwood, Jerome, Ezekiel Cousins, season ending, but turn the page. Jaren Hall, the Mormon missile, got faith. Got faith, man, where he won't be asked to do too much, and his mobility and his ability to take shots downfield, his accuracy, his leadership, his humility, his humbleness, everything. I think it all adds up to Jaren Hall being, I think the Vikings may have something there. Taking on the Atlanta Falcons down to Mercedes-Benz Stadium, where the roof goes like this. Plus they have like $4 hot dogs and stuff. Woo. Love to see it, man. But the Vikings looking to get a big-time win on the road in the NFC. Here are 10 keys for a Vikings victory on Sunday. Number 1, win the turnover battle. So first off, 1 in 10 were like permanent. What number 10 used to be one big special teams play, but we'll get to Greg Joseph. We'll get to him. But winning the turnover battle is huge. The Vikings have won or pushed in the turnover battle last 3 games. Ironically, or incidentally, coincidentally, one of the words, Vikings 3-0 those games. Weird how that happens. But they're still 29th in the league with 15 giveaways. Fortunately, the Falcons are 28th in the league with 14 giveaways. So I think that Flores' crew can get their mitts on a couple of Taylor Heinicke balls, or maybe the Falcons turf one. And the Vikings hopefully take care of the football, even with rookie Jaren Hall under center, and go from there. Next up, number 2, don't put too much on Jaren Hall. Where I do think that Jaren Hall could handle like a full plate, but obviously you're not going to put everything that you put on Kirk Cousins. You're not going to give him too many checks at the line of scrimmage. You're not going to give him the full playbook. You're not going to give him multiple progressions. You're just not going to do that. And you're not going to hopefully put him in spots where he can fail. And Kevin O'Connell, I somewhat believe the whole, I was just testing him out in terms of the play calling at the end of the Packers game, as opposed to just run. And I would like to think that he wasn't trying to give the Packers game away. I mean, the Vikings were only up 14, and I mean, that strip sack, if that turned into something at the end of the game, could have got a little bit tight. But I think that if Kevin O'Connell just has Jaren Hall play within himself, get a little confidence going, maybe they can open things up a little bit later, but this doesn't have to be all on him. He's in a fantastic situation. Great O-line, great weapons, and the defense is emerging. And I think that Kevin O'Connell, Wes Phillips will cater to him. Number 3, offensive line needs to be a wall. So what's great about the Vikings is that the offensive line is really starting to click. So Darisaw and O'Neal are the best tackle duo in the league. Reisner is coming in, filling in for Ezra Cleveland, who got traded to Jacksonville. He's really stepped in nicely. Hopefully he's going to resign here and be the left guard of the future. Long time. Bradbury's been great. Ed Ingram has greatly improved in year 2. Respect. So the Vikings offensive line is solid. And also you throw in the fact that Josh Oliver is the best blocking tight end in the game. The Vikings can basically have 6 offensive linemen out there and can do some things, both hopefully running the ball as well as protecting Jaren Hall's ass. Number 4, something from the running game. I mean, you simply have to have something. And the Vikings, whether it's Madison, whether it's Ty Chandler, whether it's Cam Akers, whether it's Kinkenny, whoever. Someone has to get something going on the ground. Under 74 yards rushing in each of the last 4 games, and also under 74 on the ground in 6 of the last 8. Now, that could change with Jaren Hall under center. Just the threat of his mobility could open things up in the running game, which is something that you would love to see. But you have to have something to alleviate some pressure for Jaren Hall, as well as have play action be viable. Jaren Hall is extremely adept at play action based on his BYU numbers, as well as from preseason. But they got to get something going on the ground, because it can't just be all on number 16. Number 5. Addison, Hockenson, and KJ got to be heroes, man. So as good as they were in recent weeks, they got to be better. Like Addison, I mean, he's got 7 touchdowns in 8 games, head of Randy Moss's pace. He just won Offensive Rookie of the Month for October in the NFC. Addison's been phenomenal. He's got to continue that wide receiver 1 play and help out his fellow rookie in Jaren Hall. Hockenson needs to keep earning his money. KJ needs to keep catching. All he does is catch first downs on third down, and we'll go from there. But remember, JJ is eligible to return after this week, potentially for the Saints game, but the guy's got to hold down the fort until number 18 gets back. Next up, number 6, use Hall's mobility as a weapon. And this is something that Kevin O'Connell hasn't really had in the last couple, long time. Like in Washington, he was working with Kirko and Colt McCoy. With the Rams, he was working with Matthews frickin' Stafford. And here in Minnesota, he's working with Kirk. But now he legitimately has a running threat at quarterback. So could we see some RPOs? Could we see some rolling of the pocket? Could we see some buying of extra time out on the perimeter? Could we see some design quarterback runs? Not too many. I want to keep Jaren Hall healthy, but just adding that specter could be dangerous and could keep defensive coordinators up at night, and also gives a little bit more credence to him as a passer, open up some windows as guys are a little bit on skates. Next up, number 7, bring heat on Heinicke. So, I mean, that Flores defense, yum time. And Heinicke, like, I do like Taylor Heinicke a lot. Obviously, Vikings fans were very familiar with him, but he will serve you up a meatball. And also, under pressure, his quarterback rating drops about 50 points versus not under pressure. Also, 4 interceptions, 19 sacks, and a 26.4 PFF grade last season when he was on Washington. So get some heat on him, and you'll be good to go, man. And frankly, so Falcons offensive line breaks down like this. McGarry, stud. Matthews, stud. The center, Drew Dahlman, has stepped in really nicely and really emerged as a stud. You can get some heat on the 2 guards. Lindstrom's been kind of poopy this year, even though he's an absolute stud. Bergeron, you can certainly get heat on. So I think the Vikings can definitely get after Heinicke's ass. Now, ideally, they can do it rushing 4, and frankly, even though the Vikings are leading the league in blitz, they blitz the lowest percentage of the season last week against Jordan Love and the Packers. But I think that if they can get consistent pressure on Heinicke again, especially on the interior and dropping 7-8 in coverage, I think that will be huge, because Heinicke, as we know, will certainly give you a chance to grab one. Next up, number 8. Body up Bijan. So, rookie phenom Bijan Robinson. What's so frustrating is that Arthur Smith clearly doesn't use him as much as he should. And yeah, Tyler Algier, the pride of BYU, ironically, former teammate of Jaren Hall. They're going to be doing a jersey swap after the game. It's going to be great. Yeah, I mean, they like using Algier a lot, especially in the red zone, which isn't frustrating at all for fantasy. But Bijan, it really is a true blue do-it-all guy. Like, he's a slightly smaller LaDainian Tomlinson, and he's got 466 yards rushing this season, 26 catches for $189 and 2 touchdowns on 37 targets, and he's going to be all over the place. So it's going to be a big-time game for Jordan Hicks. It's going to be a big-time game for Ivan Pace Jr., as well as the middle of that defense with Metellus and Harrison, as well as Beasley. Next up, number 9. Got to close in the red zone. So Falcons defense is 5th best in the red zone, and they are tough. I mean, just giving respect to Ryan Nielsen, who was a finalist for the Vikings DC job before they went with Flores. Respect. I mean, they fly around and they make plays. Calais Campbell, Onyemata, Street, Ebikete, who I like a lot. Caden Ellis, former Vikings legend. Woo, good times, man. Bud Dupree is all up in there. And overall, like, I don't know what it was against Tennessee. I think they just had a bad game plan, allowing 4 touchdowns to Will Levis. I think they got a little bit cocky, a little bit too much press man, a little bit too much cover 0. But, I mean, their safeties are studs. I love me some Richard Grant. Jesse Bates III, frankly, may be up there in terms of being the free agent signee of the year. And they're tough. I mean, A.J. Terrell, the Jeff Okudah, former number 3 overall pick for the Lions. Mike Hughes, even though he's on the injury report. I mean, this is a very, very good defense, man. And they need a good defense because their offense is quite poopy. Sometimes, certainly is. Get in, baby. I love doing videos when I'm clearly watching other sports that I may have a jelly bean on. I don't know. Who knows, man? But, the Vikings got to get after it, and they got to close in the red zone. And the Vikings, what's frustrating is that they were 22nd in red zone, even with Kirk Cousins. And now with Jaren Hall, I mean, in some ways his mobility could open things up, but in other ways he certainly doesn't have that experience. But that's where other guys got to step up. The O-line has to be there. All the weapons have to be sure-handed. And whatever it is, like, you can't settle for field goals. I keep saying that every single week, and it's so frustrating. And frankly, they should make a rule where you can't kick a field goal within 25 yards. That's what just completely eliminate it. So it's so frustrating when they get so conservative. It's like, I would kick the field goal. And lastly, number 10, Greg Joseph can't miss kicks. He's missed multiple kicks in every single of the last 3 games. All Vikings wins. Eventually, it's going to cost him, and simply cannot have that. And if he doesn't get his head in the game, he's got to be replaced, or competition has to be brought in, and that really is the bottom line. And it really sucks because the Vikings have been playing these low-scoring games, and it hasn't bit them in the ass yet. Hopefully it doesn't, and hopefully Greg Joseph does rise up. But frankly, I mean, Greg Joseph is very lucky that the Vikings news wire has been very jammed up this week with Kirk's unfortunate injury as well as the trade deadline, because otherwise he would be story number 1, and can't have that anymore. Final score prediction. So the over-under in this is like freaking 37. Like, this is going to be a rock fight, and the Vikings are getting 5 points on the road. A lot of that is, everyone's saying, oh, rookie quarterback must suck. But you saw what a rookie quarterback did to the Falcons defense last week in Will Levis. Now, I think that they'll learn from that, and they'll play 2 deep safeties a lot more. But I think Jaren Hall, I think the Vikings actually may have something. And you almost have to throw out his preseason tape because the offensive line play was so bad. But just watching him at BYU, throwing piss missiles all over the place, throwing darts, mobility, buying extra time, making Puka Nacua. I mean, I think that the Vikings, they have a great offensive line. They got weapons galore. JJ's a week away from coming back. The defense is approaching top 10. I think the Vikings have a chance to do something really special with Jaren Hall. And I think that the Vikings do get it done on the road. I think it's a low-scoring affair, but give me Vikings 19, Falcons 13, and we go from there, baby. That's right. But that's it. That's 10 keys for a Vikings victory on Sunday. What are your keys? Let us know in the comment section below. Subscribe for daily Vikings takes. Want to support the work? Put a little something in the Venmo. But till next time, Skull Production Value.